When a chosen one makes the radical decision to stop engaging in sexual activity, the spirit realm doesn't just take notice. It reacts with an intensity that can be felt in the very marrow of your bones. You might think you're just making a personal health choice or a moral pivot, but in the unseen dimensions, you are essentially lighting a massive flare that signals your location to every spiritual entity in your vicinity. This isn't about mere abstinence or following a set of religious rules. It is a fundamental shift in your internal frequency. When you stop the outward leak of your most potent creative energy, that energy begins to back up and fill your internal reservoirs. Hell recognizes this immediately because a chosen one with a full reservoir is a direct threat to the kingdom of darkness. This is why the atmosphere around you suddenly feels charged, heavy, and perhaps even a bit more hostile than before. The reason the spirit realm shifts so violently is that your celibacy is viewed as a declaration of war against the status quo of this world. For years, perhaps, you lived like everyone else, moving with the current of physical desires and temporary pleasures. But the moment you shut that door, you effectively resign from the world's system of operation. This resignation causes a ripple effect. Demons that were once content to watch you from a distance are now deployed to your front door because they know what is coming next. Consecrated chosen one is not just someone who is behaving, they are someone who is awakening to their true identity. This awakening is the greatest fear of the enemy. As an awakened chosen, one possesses the authority to dismantle strongholds and break chains that have been in place for generations. You have likely noticed that temptations seem to have multiplied overnight since you made this commitment. You might be asking yourself why it feels 10 times harder to stay pure now than it did when you weren't even trying. The answer is simple. Hell is panicking because it knows your purity is tied to your prophecy. Every time you deny the flesh, you are sharpening a spiritual blade. The enemy isn't worried about people who just talk about God. He is terrified of those who embody the discipline of God. When you stop the physical indulgence, you are actually opening an ancient door to divine clarity and prophetic authority. This is why the pressure has increased. The kingdom of darkness is trying to get you to fold before you realize how powerful you've actually become in this new state of being. If you've been feeling like you're under a microscope, or if your dreams have suddenly become vivid battlegrounds, I want you to stay with me through this entire message. What you are experiencing isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It is a confirmation that you are doing everything right. This warfare is the evidence of your value. If you weren't a threat, the enemy wouldn't be wasting his best resources to distract you. We are going to dive deep into why this happens, how to navigate the attacks, and how to harness the incredible power that is currently building up inside you. If you're ready to embrace this journey and reclaim your spiritual throne, go ahead and like this video and type 99 in the comments to signal that your past is finished and your consecration is complete. We've often been told that our bodies are temples, but the modern world has watered down that truth to make it sound like a peaceful garden. In reality, your body is a temple forged for fire and spiritual warfare. When Scripture says your body is a dwelling place for the Holy Spirit, it implies that you are a mobile base of operations for heaven. A temple isn't just a place where you sit quietly. It is where sacrifices are made, where fire is kept burning, and where the presence of the divine meets the physical earth. When you stop giving your body away to casual connections, you are effectively reclaiming the territory of your temple. You are saying that this space is no longer open for public commerce or temporary residence. It is now strictly reserved for the king. When a chosen one stops giving their body to sin, they stop being a victim of their circumstances and start becoming a weapon in the hand of God. Every no you say to a physical impulse is like unsheathing a sword in the spirit realm. You aren't just practicing self-control, you are engaging in high-level spiritual combat. Every time you choose solitude over a seductive distraction, you are weaponizing your physical existence. Heaven doesn't anoint those who are comfortable, it anoints those who are willing to sacrifice. Your body, when fully surrendered and kept pure, becomes a living altar. On this altar, a fire begins to burn that cannot be extinguished by the world's distractions. This fire is what draws the presence of God and repels the shadows of the enemy. The enemy sends distractions dressed as desire because he is desperate to prevent you from aligning fully with your purpose. He knows that if your physical body ever perfectly aligns with your spiritual calling, you won't just survive your life. You will invade the enemy's territory. Imagine a warrior who has mastered their own impulses. They are no longer easily manipulated or led astray by the whispers of the flesh. This kind of alignment is what hell fears most. It's not just about being good. It's about being dangerous to the darkness. A chosen one walking in purity is sharp, precise, and absolutely unstoppable because they are no longer fighting themselves. Their internal civil war has ended, and they can finally focus all their power outward. The battle for your purity doesn't end with a simple act of self-control. That is actually where the true power begins to manifest. When your body, mind, and spirit finally unite under a single divine command, you tap into a level of authority that most people will never understand. You start to see things before they happen. You begin to feel the shift in a room before a word is spoken. This is the hidden power of purity. It is a quiet, steady strength that doesn't need to make noise to be effective. It is the kind of power that changes history because it is rooted in the eternal rather than the temporary. As we go further, you'll see how this discipline is actually the key to unlocking your highest destiny. Every time you say no to a temptation, the heavens don't just applaud. They respond with a tangible increase in your spiritual access. Think of every act of resistance as a deposit into a spiritual account that grants you higher levels of clearance in the kingdom. You might think you're just holding back from an act, but in the unseen realm, you are actually being granted permission to handle heavier weights of glory. God is a steward of His power, and He looks for those who can steward their own bodies before He trusts them with the souls of others. Your no is your resume for promotion. It proves that you are not a slave to your hormones or the cultural trends of the day, but a master of your own vessel. The devil isn't particularly afraid of people who spend all day praying but never change their lifestyle. He is, however, terrified of people who obey. Obedience is the highest form of spiritual warfare because it breaks the legal rights that the enemy tries to claim over your life. In a world that is completely driven by lust and immediate gratification, choosing purpose over pleasure is the ultimate act of rebellion against the system of darkness. Consider the story of Joseph. He wasn't just avoiding a scandal when he ran from Potiphar's wife. He was protecting his access to the throne of Egypt. If he had succumbed to that temporary pleasure, he would have forfeited the eternal purpose for which he was born. When you say no to the bed of sin, you are simultaneously saying yes to the throne of your calling. You aren't just resisting a mistake. You are rising into your true identity as a ruler in the Spirit. The demons assigned to watch you start to panic when they see your consistency. They expect you to fail because they've seen so many others fall for the same tricks. But when you remain standing week after week, month after month, they realize that you aren't just aware of your calling. You are becoming worthy of it. Consistency and purity builds a reputation in the spirit realm that makes your name known in both heaven and hell. You become a person of weight and significance, but here is the twist that the enemy doesn't want you to know. Hell actually studies your purity to find ways to hijack it. The enemy knows that your sexual energy is sacred and creative, so he tries to find leaks where he can drain that power. If he can't get you to commit a major sin, he'll try to get you to waste your energy on fantasies, digital distractions, or soul ties that lead nowhere. He wants to keep you in a state of contained power, where you have the energy but no direction for it. This is why you must be vigilant not just about your actions, but about your thoughts and your focus. The goal is total alignment, not just outward compliance. Sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces in the human experience because it was designed by God to create life and establish covenants. Anything that has the power to create also has the capacity to destroy if it is misused or directed toward the wrong ends. Hell tracks this energy in chosen ones because it fears what happens when that energy is fully surrendered to the Holy Spirit. The moment you choose celibacy, there is a literal shift in your spiritual signature. You go from being dim to bright, on the demonic radar. This is why the attacks often feel personal and coordinated. They are. You are being targeted because your energy is no longer being wasted on the world. Demons are often assigned not to destroy you immediately, but to simply drain you of this sacred momentum. They use lust spirits to whisper old memories into your mind or to trigger random dreams that feel incredibly vivid and distracting. You might find that people from your past suddenly start reaching out to you for no apparent reason. This isn't a coincidence, it's a coordinated spiritual operation. These entities, sometimes referred to as incubus or succubus spirits, don't waste their time on people who are already living in sin. They target the righteous, the ones who have decided to shut the door and light a holy fire. They want to steal the oil you are gathering through your consecration. Have you noticed how the warfare seems to spike right after you've had a breakthrough in your spiritual walk? Maybe you had a great time in prayer or felt a new sense of peace, and then suddenly, the strongest temptation you've felt in weeks hits you out of nowhere. This is because the enemy is trying to reclaim the ground you just won. He wants your fire, your focus, and your energy. If you can learn to contain this power and not leak it through minor compromises, you will eventually reach a point where you don't just resist hell, you outrank it. You move from a position of defense to a position of dominion where your presence alone disturbs the darkness. The enemy's final card is often to try and make you feel like your purity is a burden or a curse. He wants you to feel lonely, isolated, and less than, because you aren't participating in the world's version of intimacy. He wants to twist your strength into a perceived weakness, but this is a trap. Most chosen ones fall for this by starting to pity themselves or feeling like they are missing out on life. Don't blink now, because recognizing this trap is the only way to avoid it. Your celibacy is not a prison, it is a fortress. It is the place where your greatest weapons are being forged in the quiet, away from the prying eyes of the world. The world likes to laugh at celibacy, calling it repressed or outdated. But that's only because the world doesn't understand the discipline of a warrior. This generation is addicted to dopamine and governed by living their truth, which is usually just a fancy way of saying they follow their feelings wherever they lead. But as a chosen one, you know that your feelings are often a trap designed to keep you numb to your true conviction. The world wants you distracted and addicted to escape because people who are drunk on pleasure are easy to control. Chosen ones, however, are not raised in comfort. We are forged in the fires of consecration and self-denial. Celibacy is not about hiding from the world, it's about training for the world to come. It's what a soldier does in the silence of the barracks while the rest of the city is partying. It's the discipline David practiced in the wilderness with the sheep before he ever stepped onto the battlefield to face Goliath. You might feel like you're missing out, but you are actually being built up. When you abstain, you aren't just suppressing a desire. You are redirecting that desire toward the throne of God. You are telling the Creator, I value your presence more than I value temporary physical relief. This kind of hunger, when offered on the altar, is what brings down the fire of God. In return for your sacrifice, God gives you the authority to command atmospheres and discern spirits with incredible precision. There is a specific kind of power that is only found in the quiet of self-denial. It's a power that cannot be bought with money or earned through talent. It is the kind of power that makes demons nervous before you even open your mouth to speak. When you have mastered your own body, the world loses its primary way of owning or manipulating you. You become a free agent in the spirit, capable of moving exactly as God directs without being held back by the chains of lust or the need for external validation. What the world will never tell you is that celibacy isn't the absence of intimacy. It is the presence of perfect alignment with the divine. Once you are aligned with heaven, you become a walking weapon. But even a weapon needs direction, and even a fire needs a hearth. In these final moments of our journey together, you are going to discover what happens when that fire stops being a secret struggle and starts igniting your public destiny. You are being prepared for a platform and a purpose that require a level of character that only this kind of discipline can produce. Your secret purity is about to produce a very public power. Hell doesn't fear your looks, your bank account, or your natural talents. Those things can all be managed or corrupted by the enemy. What hell truly fears is your focus. When a chosen one stops chasing the flesh and starts chasing the fire of God, a real and ancient power awakens. Brain fog, that often accompanies a lifestyle of compromise, begins to lift. The confusion about your identity starts to dissipate. When the noise of constant physical desire dies down, the voice of God becomes the loudest thing in your life. This clarity is your greatest asset. It allows you to move with a precision that makes the enemy's head spin. When your distractions fall away, divine instructions begin to rise up in their place. Your prayers will shift from mere survival, asking God to help you get through the day, a high-level strategy. You'll find yourself praying for things you never thought about before. Your worship will move from a boring routine to a deep, revelatory experience. Your walk with God will go from lukewarm to lethal. The devil isn't intimidated by your physical strength. He is intimidated by your consecration. A consecrated chosen one doesn't just react to the enemy's moves. They command the situation. They enforce the will of heaven on the earth because they are in total sync with the King. This level of focus comes only when lust is no longer the lens through which you see the world. When you are no longer looking at people as objects of desire or looking for your next fix of validation, you start to see the spirit realm clearly. You see the needs, the traps, and the opportunities that everyone else is missing because they are too distracted by their own cravings. Purity isn't the end goal of your journey. Purpose is. You weren't born to blend into a culture of indulgence. You were born to see clearly, to strike spiritually, and to lead others out of the darkness you've already conquered. The war for your focus is so intense because the enemy knows that if you ever get fully locked in, you become unshakable. If you stop falling for the counterfeit connections and the soul ties of that drain your energy, you become a beacon of light that can't be hidden. You are closer to this reality than you think. The final key to this entire process isn't just about staying celibate. It's about what you do with the fire you're building. It's about becoming a fully awakened son or daughter of the Most High. This is the beginning of the most powerful chapter of your life, and the enemy is powerless to stop it as long as you stay focused. Chosen one, I want you to understand that this message isn't just a video or a set of words. It is a divine reminder of who you are and what you are carrying. Your celibacy is not a loss of experience. It is a signal to heaven and a direct threat to the gates of hell. When you stopped giving your body away, you didn't lose your power. You finally unlocked it. You stepped out of a cycle of spiritual depletion and into a season of spiritual accumulation. You have broken the pattern of the world and silenced the voice of seduction in your life. Now you walk not just as a believer, but as a warrior with clear vision and heaven's fire in your very bones. Demons don't tremble because you make a lot of noise or because you use big words. They tremble because of your purity, your discipline, and your internal consecration. They recognize the weight of a person who has conquered their own flesh. Hear this today as a prophetic decree. You are not soft. You are not weak. You are not missing out. You are set apart for a glory that the world cannot even comprehend. The warfare you have endured up to this point is the ultimate proof of your high calling. If you weren't carrying something massive for the kingdom, the enemy wouldn't be trying so hard to trip you up. The world will never understand your path, and you have to be okay with that. You weren't called to be understood by the world. You were called to be marked by heaven. So, stay pure, stay sharp, and stay dangerous to the darkness. Every time you say no to the flesh, hell shakes, the demonic ranks scatter, and your divine purpose gets louder and clearer. You are becoming the version of yourself that God intended from the beginning, a vessel of honor, fit for the Master's use and prepared for every good work. Your journey is valid, your sacrifice is seen, and your reward is coming. If this word has resonated with your soul and confirmed what you've been feeling in your spirit, I want you to drop a fire in the comments and declare it for the world to see. I am set apart. Like this video to help spread this message to other warriors who are struggling in the silence. Share it with someone you know is on this same journey. Subscribe and turn on those notifications because, chosen one, this is only the very beginning of your story. Your fire is just getting started, and the world is about to see the light that you've been cultivating in the secret place. Keep going, the throne is waiting.